I'm so hungry right now, and I have hard-boiled eggs cooking on the stove, and I'm going to stop talking and I'm gonna go make them so I can stuff my face with hard-boiled eggs because I'm just so hungry and I'm craving hard-boiled eggs. So I made a whole plate of deviled eggs. I did 6 eggs. This is all I want to eat. They're so good. I've decided it might be fun to make running pregnancy vlogs. You know how some people have like a weekly pregnancy vlog where they like tell you cravings and how big their belly's gotten, and I don't even know what else they include. I like watching them though. You know, the ones that I subscribe to and stuff, I think they're interesting. And so I thought, well, I don't really want to do just a pregnancy vlog. I'd like to relate it to running because that's pretty much why I have a very small YouTube channel, because I like to document things, and I am not the best at documenting things. I don't commit well to making videos. I'm the first to admit that, and I think it would be nice to have a goal of posting 1 video a week where I'm talking about this week and running and how it's been and what I've been up to and things I've been craving and how the runs have gone and how I'm feeling. So hopefully you might find that interesting. But I must say I'm doing this personally just for myself because I really want to be able to go back and look at this later. You know, hopefully if we're blessed to have another pregnancy after this one, and I really pray that we will be able to, then I'd like to go back and compare and just see, kind of make a note. So that's kind of the whole point. And plus Greg and I have gone back and looked at the ones of him when he was in a stroller, and he just gets like the best kick out of it, and so do I. And it was so much work to make those videos. It was like, it was intense. That's why I stopped doing it, because it just took the fun out of running. But these are less intense. They just require me sitting and talking, and I don't think too many people are gonna actually want to watch that because I'm not the most interesting person. So a little bit about myself. This is our 5th pregnancy, but we've had 2 miscarriages. We already have 2 children right now. Greg is 3 and Chet is 1. And this next child is due September 10th of 2016, which will literally give us 3 children under the age of 3, which is kind of cool. And we are currently 13 weeks and 5 days pregnant, I believe. I don't really keep track of the days. I just know like when the weekend comes, we switch over to a new week. So the OB office, my OBGYN office, I'm sorry I keep burping, I had seltzer. I've been drinking seltzer. The OBGYN office has said, oh, you're, you know, like 13, they're the ones that said 13 weeks, 5 days, but we practice NFP and we know the day that we conceived. So it was kind of funny and humorous the day that we walked in for the dating ultrasound and they hit we were correct. And then they were shocked when the OB asked me, you know, like, when do you think you're due? And I said September 10th. And they were like, what? And I said, yeah, it happens every time. Nailed it with Greg, nailed it with Chet, nailed it with this one. And that's just because with natural family planning, you just know your body really well, and you know the ins and outs to all of that extremely well. So that could be like a whole nother video. So the goals for this series of uploading running videos would be just for myself. I really want to have something that I post once a week. I think that's really a good challenge for me. And I want to be able to go back and reflect on it. And it just helps me kind of commit to this channel a little bit more, because I tend to like post a few videos and then I stop, and you know, people understand that I'm not always around. I'm very crazy busy chasing after my 2 kids and keeping up the house and taking care of my husband and all that good stuff. So, you know, it is nice for me to have a goal this time around. My pregnancy so far, so I have my cheat sheet here. We confirmed that we were pregnant with a test on January 1st, but I kind of already knew that we were pregnant because my basal body temperature had just been elevated the entire time during my luteal phase. So it was fairly obvious by the time January 1st rolled around, especially because we knew the date of conception or like, you know, the assumed date of conception if we had conceived. And so it wasn't like a huge shock. Plus I had already started craving like savory foods, and I was extremely tired, and I get like that every time. I kind of get so tired I'm almost ill, like the feeling that you get when you're sick. But I didn't feel sick, I just felt really, really exhausted. And that happened with Greg, and it happened with Chet, and it happened this time. So I sort of had like a hunch. And let's see, I already told you about NFP, and I mean, I was solid with running even before we conceived this child. I had been running as soon as the OBGYN told me after Chet's birth, 6 weeks postpartum with Chet, that I could start running, I did. And so he's 17 months, and I believe I gave birth to him, my C-section with him was September 29th, and I believe in November. I kind of wanted to give myself a couple of extra weeks because it was my second C-section, and I wanted to make sure that like my body was ready for that. So I started running again in November, and I increased mileage, small but good increments. And I mean, this summer, pre-E. coli and then post-E. coli, like I was running very high mileage, you know, like marathon training mileage and just good things like that. So when we found out that we were pregnant again, I didn't stop running, I just kept running. And I did kind of slow down a little bit because the exhaustion was a lot. Let's see, by around week 8, I remember week 6 hitting and going back and looking at charts and things from the other pregnancies with Greg and Chet and thinking, oh, week 6, I was really nauseous at this point, and I'm not nauseous yet. I hope that doesn't mean something's wrong. But everything was fine, and should have held my tongue because week 8 came and I was so nauseous and I was so tired, and the nausea has been the worst it's been compared to like my other 2 pregnancies. This time around it has been like really harsh, and I haven't thrown up, but that doesn't surprise me because I'm not someone that usually throws up. I usually tend to just try to keep it in. So I've noticed that like things will set it off, different smells around the house and different cooking different things. And recently though it has subsided, and I do find that running really does help with the nausea and the exhaustion, although I will say starting around week 8 the exhaustion was so much. So I mean, it's more than like when you work a full day and you're tired and you come home from work and you're exhausted. It's beyond that. It's kind of like just a deep feeling of exhaustion from as soon as you wake up to when you can catch a nap or go back to sleep. So I did end up taking, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks off from running, and I think it was probably like 3 weeks. I'd have to like go back and check, but I needed that. I needed to just be able to let my body focus on being pregnant and maintaining my health. My knees have been bothering me very terribly. They were an issue before I got pregnant, but now that I'm pregnant, I feel like there's some hormone that just must set off my knees, which sounds so stupid, and it's probably not true, but I do think it is true because it's, you know, once things really started to set in for me my knees really did become quite the issue. I'm sorry, my phone keeps going off. I just must be wicked popular. So my knees for a while, they really needed a rest, and so I just took about 3 weeks off and slept every chance I got. Didn't throw up, but was very nauseous, and just knew as soon as I started to feel just even the inkling of this being put behind me, I was gonna head out again. And actually it got to the point probably like around maybe like 2 weeks ago where I thought, you know what, even if this never subsides and I have this nausea the whole time, I'm still gonna make it a point to get out and run, just because that really does help release some of that, and it just makes it kind of feel less worse, if that even makes sense. It really does make me feel better, and it helps with the exhaustion, which doesn't seem to make sense, but it does. So right now, I've been doing a lot of light mileage. Nothing to write home about. As some of you may know, I would run, anywhere from like 6, 8, 10, maybe even like 12 miles in a run. And right now I'm doing a 3-mile loop, I think. So it's very, very, very low, but it's better than nothing. And I specifically have chosen to stay low on my miles right now because I think A, it helps me feel successful. B, it doesn't exhaust me before I'm halfway done. And I've always had the mentality of I'm just going to quit while I'm ahead, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. For me, it's pretty much always been a good thing. So I've been able to get up and go usually like 3 days on. So I will run like for example, this week I ran Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I took Thursday off, and then I went out and I ran on Friday. And I've just been doing the same short 3-mile loop every day. And it is like I have a hard time admitting to you the amount of miles I've been doing because I am such a big distance runner, and to say I'm only doing 3 miles kind of feels a little bit like I'm failing, but I won't let myself admit that because I know that I'm not really failing. I know that I'm doing what my body is capable of handling right now. I know it could do more. Okay. I know that I could do more because when I'm finished with the loop, I feel like I could go out and do another mile or 2 miles or 3 miles or probably not 4, but I don't want to do that to myself yet. I really, I just took those 3 weeks off. I'm getting back in, and I really want to be able to run well into my 3rd trimester. That's the biggest goal that I have for myself right now. And I think with Greg, I didn't do that. With Greg, I did run into my 3rd trimester with Greg, but by the time I was done, I quit so abruptly that I had a really hard time with that. I had a really hard time. And so what happened was I would be, around this stage of the game where I'm 14 weeks-ish pregnant, 13, we'll call this the 13-week pregnancy vlog. So 13 weeks pregnant, I could go out and I would do 6 or 8 miles and feel exhausted but fine and enjoy it. And I would keep that up for a really long time. And I even saw on YouTube, I made a pregnancy video with Greg where I was maybe in my 2nd trimester, and I was still going out doing 6 miles, and that was really exhausting. And so what would happen is I would never be able to settle for less. So it would be well, it's 6 miles or it's 8 miles or nothing at all, and I'm not going to do anything else other than that mileage. And so then maybe I take 2 or 3 days off in between. So I run for a day and then I take 2 days off. And it just didn't, there just wasn't a healthy balance with that for me. Because for me, I like to have a couple of consistent days and then a day or 2 to rest and then another couple of consistent days. So by the time I hit the 3rd trimester with Greg, I was working full time. I was a teacher. So I would go to work all day, and then I would come home and I would just collapse on the couch. And I would literally nap on the couch, and And then it would be too dark by the time I would feel rested enough to go for a run, and I just was like, okay, I'll call it quits and I'll just walk. Even though I know I could have done a couple of miles being big and pregnant. So I do wish that I had done that differently. I do wish that, but I didn't know. I didn't know any different. And then with Chet, I was fine for a while with Chet. You know, I ran well into, you know, fine second trimester. And then by the time I hit the third trimester with Chet, I was totally done. I don't even know if I made it all the way through. I think I made it to, like, I think it was like, okay, I'm literally turning the week over to the third trimester. I'm done with running with Chet. And the reason why with that was because I hadn't found a good balance time-wise, like time of the day to be able to go for a run. Because at this point I was already a stay-at-home mom. So I was with Greg 24/7. And that meant that he had to come with me in the stroller. And then I'd have to push him while being big and pregnant. And it was too much. It was too much. So I didn't regret stopping when I stopped and just walking. But I definitely just felt like I could have done better. So like I said, this time around, my goal is to run well into my third trimester. Now, that's a pretty lofty goal because, you know, you look at the other 2 times and I didn't make it that far into the third trimester, or if at all. And I don't know, the way that the baby grows is like they just come out in like a big basketball. And that can put stress on my ribs and that can cause pain. So I think this time around I have belly bands. I want to find some really good belly band support for that. Or just try the ones I currently have, give them a second chance. And I don't know, I feel like by the time you get so huge and pregnant, you don't even want to bend down to pick anything up because even that is uncomfortable. So there will come a point where I'm going to have to stop and just walk. Okay, let's see. So like I said, my goals would be, as far as mileage goes, I think right now I'm doing like the 3 miles every, you know, I'll run like 3 days in a row and then take a day off and then run 3 days in a row and take a day off. And I am quitting while I'm ahead. So like I said, the max amount of miles I think I would like to get up to right now would just be 5, which I know is still like just 5. Like that's nothing. But I'm pregnant and I really don't want to push the envelope so much where I'm like, I just want to stop. You know, that's my big goal. I just want to run until I'm in the third trimester. Or until I get the day I have to give birth, you know, because then I'm going to have to kick my feet up for a while, a couple months. It is hard for me to admit that though, because I am such a mileage person, and just being outside for an extended period of time makes it so much more enjoyable for me. But I'm okay with that right now because I'm pregnant, you know what I mean? Like I really am okay with that. So I also have a very wishful goal, which would be, I live in an area that's kind of the foothills of the White Mountains, I guess. And we have some really, really, really great mountains around here. They're not like white mountains, they're like hills, but they're very high peaks. And one of them that's like a stone's throw from where I live just so happens to be the highest peak in York County. It's called Hosack Mountain, and that is by far my favorite place to run. I love it. And I won't go up in the winter because it's not maintained, but it's such an easy ascend to the summit because it's paved the entire way. Granted, you wouldn't want to drive your car up because it's really crazy and it is very steep. So my wishful goal would be that I could get up there before I give birth, but I'm fairly certain that if I do get up to the summit, it's just going to be walking because I don't think it would be smart to run that while pregnant. I'm just too fearful that like something could happen. I don't know. I just don't want to push the envelope in that department because I want to be able to enjoy everything and I don't want to do something stupid. And I think running up Hosack Mountain would probably be not the smartest decision I could make right now. Yeah, and I said also run well into the third trimester. That's my biggest goal. And then, let's see, nutrition-wise, well, I'm only doing 3 miles, so that's like nothing. So I don't even bring anything I don't even bring water on my runs, nothing. And I don't need anything. I usually have something to eat before I go, but I don't even think that needs to happen because it's such an easy loop. There are just a few hills in it. It's not even like anything that extensive. So I'm not bringing anything while I run. During the day, I'm eating a lot of fruit. I try to have a green smoothie for breakfast, so that's like fruit and vegetables, and then, or for lunch, combine it with other stuff. So I make that for me and the kids. And then I try to have a salad with dinner, so I'm eating a lot of greens that way. I'm taking a regular multivitamin and fish oil. They suggested I take fish oil this time around, so I am. Never taken that before until now. And I also don't stop myself from indulging in things that I want. Like I really crave savory things, so I eat them. And I don't regret it because I feel like this is really the only time that I can indulge myself in eating a lot of things that I want to eat. So I do, and that's fine. As far as like finding time for me to go running, I have turned into a morning runner, which is crazy because I've been running since I was, 9 or 10 years old, and I always would scoff at people who would run in the morning, and I thought, oh, that's so crazy. I need time to wake up. I can't believe people actually like go out in the morning and run. But I have found that if I don't do that, the chances of me getting out are so very slim. So I do get up and I run in the morning, and it works. So what I've been doing right now is I have a planner and I write down the week's worth of sunrise times and pre-dawn times. So I know by the time pre-dawn hits, I can go out and run because I can see my surroundings. It's not going to be pitch black out. And right now I've been setting my alarm for 4:45, which is nothing because I used to work out of the home and I like getting up early anyways. I've always been a morning person, which is crazy that I've never been a morning runner until recently. So I'll set the alarm for 4:45, and then when I wake up, I know that I'm going to go for a run. That's in the back of my head. But I remind myself that before I can go for a run, I need to have a really good cup of coffee, drink a lot of water, and really enjoy that. And so I look forward to getting up and having coffee. That's what works for me. I trick myself every day. I mean, I know what I'm going to do. I know I'm going to go for a run, but I'm not going to go immediately, which I think was really the breaking point for me before I started running in the morning, because it was like, I don't want to get up and put my shoes on right now and go for a run. I just sort of want to laze around and kind of procrastinate, sort of, even though I'm not a procrastinator. I was in that department. So now I get up 4:45, I make some coffee, I have something to eat. I like to make breakfast stuff anyway, so muffins or breads or whatever, and sometimes a banana. But like I said, there are days where I don't even eat anything. I just have coffee and water and I go. And I do try to drink a lot of water, especially in the morning, even though it makes me super nauseous just because I'm so dehydrated from sleeping the night before, and then putting like coffee into my system isn't very good because that also will dehydrate you. So I do drink a lot of water and then coffee. And usually while that process is happening, I'm on YouTube, I'm watching videos, I'm stretching, and I'm just sort of letting myself naturally wake up as the sun comes up. And right now the sunrise is at 6 a.m. Sunday we do the spring ahead, so it's gonna be 7 a.m. and I'm out the door by 6. My goal is to be back by 7:30. My husband has to be out the door at 7:30. So there have been times when we literally are crossing paths. So I'll be walking down the driveway and he'll be leaving. And that way I can get in a good full amount of time for a run. But like right now I'm only doing 3 miles. So if I leave at 6, I'm home way before he ever has to leave. And that's okay. So I don't really know how it's gonna work when we switch the clocks ahead. I think I'll just probably leave at like 6:30 and it'll be dark out and I'll be fine until like the sunrise comes or the pre-dawn hits. But if I don't get up and run in the morning, things are not gonna happen. I've really come to enjoy it. It's a very special time for me. It's a good time for me to be alone with the Lord and alone with nature and alone with the day as it begins. And it's just very special knowing that a majority of people are either still sleeping or they are inside getting ready to go for work. And I'm just by myself and I love it. So that is a very long-winded 13-week update. I think next week, hopefully it'll be a lot less because I won't have to fill everybody in on everything. So I will show you what my belly looks like. Oh, and that's the other thing. So I'm gonna have to start buying maternity running clothing. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're semi-interested. If you stuck it out this long and watched the whole thing, good for you. I love you guys. And it's so beautiful out. You should lace your shoes up and go catch a run. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.